Well, despite some predictions of doom and gloom, NASA says an asteroid on an orbit that will take it awfully close to the Earth will almost certainly miss the planet. The 50-metre wide space rock, catalogued as 2023 DW, was originally thought to have a 1 in 625 chance of hitting the Earth on Valentine's Day 2046. The threat of a direct impact was initially raised by NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office based on the limited orbital data they had at the time of its discovery. Now, as more and more observations are gathered, NASA has revised its estimates, placing the asteroid's chances of hitting the Earth at more like 1 in 770. That equates to a 99.87% chance of missing the planet. And as more orbital data observations come in, those numbers are expected to get even better. And it's not just NASA. The European Space Agency's own Near-Earth Object Coordination Office has also lowered its risk assessment, downgrading its odds of a direct impact from 1 in 625 to 1 in 1,584. Still, even if 2023 DW does end up slamming into the Earth, and that's highly unlikely, it wouldn't be catastrophic, at least not as bad as, say, the 10-kilometre wide Chicxulub asteroid, which crashed into Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula 66 million years ago, triggering the KT boundary event mass extinction, which wiped out some 75% of all life on Earth, including all the non-avian dinosaurs. At 50 metres, roughly the size of an Olympic swimming pool, 2023 DW will be noticed, with an impact likely to be similar to a large thermonuclear explosion, but without all the radiation. Now, a lot of people are comparing a potential impact of 2023 DW with that of the 2013 airburst explosion of the 20-metre-wide asteroid which burst in the skies above the Russian town of Chelyabinsk. That generated a blast roughly equal to 500 kilotons of TNT. And to put that in perspective, that's some 33 times the amount of energy released by the Hiroshima atomic bomb. The Chelyabinsk explosion injured over 1,500 people, not directly from the blast itself, but from debris and shards of glass in damaged buildings which were hit by shock waves from the explosion. But I think a far better analogy might be the 1908 Tunguska event. On the morning of June 30th, 1908, a massive explosion with the force of a 5-megaton thermonuclear device, the equivalent of 1,000 Hiroshima bombs, smashed into northern Siberia. The blast was so powerful, it lit up the night sky in London a third of the way around the planet. The orange glow allowed Brits to read their evening newspapers without turning on the lights. Seismographs 1,000 kilometres away also recorded the event, and that sparked intense scientific interest. Researchers were able to triangulate the blast's location to the remote Tunguska River region of northern Siberia. But it took 19 years for a scientific expedition to reach the isolated location. What greeted them upon their arrival was a scene of utter devastation. The entire landscape had been flattened. The explosion raised some 80 million trees over an area of more than 2,000 square kilometres. Mature trees had been snapped off at their bases and covered the ground for hundreds of kilometres like matchsticks, and all of them were pointing away from the blast's epicentre, thought to be at the location of what is now Lake Chico. Locals who witnessed the blast described a column of blue light that moved across the sky in the cool summer's morning air, followed by a tremendous explosion. The explosion and eyewitness accounts are all consistent with an asteroid impact, but mysteriously, no crater has ever been found. And that's led scientists to speculate that the asteroid probably airburst before reaching the planet's surface. The idea of an airburst was also consistent with one unusual characteristic of the impact site. All the flattened trees pointed away from the blast zone except those at the very epicenter. They remained upright. Computer simulations support the idea of an explosion caused by an airburst of a meteor somewhere between 1 and 200 meters across. So there's always the possibility that Valentine's Day in 2046 might rock your world after all. This is SpaceTime.